The Business Owners Podcast is brought to you by Business and Enovar Group with your hosts, Linda Reid Enovar and Clive Enovar. In each episode, we talk to other business owners about their experiences, challenges, and successes. We'll also share tips and advice on how to grow your business and achieve your goals. If you're a business owner or you're thinking about starting a business, then the Business Owners Podcast is for you.
Welcome to the Business Owners Podcast. My name is Clive Enovar, and along with Linda Reid Enovar, I am your host. I am a business strategist, and I help people discover clarity to more effectively engage with more of their ideal client more often. Today, I'm having a conversation with Charles Liu of Cubic Promote about branded merchandise. Hello and welcome, Charles.
Clive, good morning. How are you doing today?
Absolutely on top of the world. Thank you, Charles. I'm in beautiful downtown Melbourne. Where have we found you?
I'm in beautiful downtown Sydney.
Yay. And you guys are having is it tonight? I think it's tonight. You're having a state of origin clash with Queensland.
Yes, we are. I skipped my mind, actually. They don't publicize it nearly as much as they used to. But I'm sure, once again, victory would go to the Blues. No doubt about it.
There you go. Nothing like pinning our colours to the wall right at the beginning. So, Charles, tell us a little bit about Charles. Where has Charles come from? Because I can pick the slightest bit of an accent there. Where does that accent come from, and how come you're here in Sydney?
So I got the strangest accent. So many people have noted that my accent sounds South African, which I could actually understand because I got South African friends. But my roots are from Hong Kong originally. So my folks back then came here when I was 2 years old, back in the 80s, very different time. It was a time when you didn't need to lock your car doors and still be safe. You could go to sleep at home in your house without needing to lock the front door. And you also be safe as well. It was time for change just a slight little bit, but those were my roots. So my parents came here to seek a better life. They felt that there were more opportunities for the young ones, aka me, at that point in time. And I've studied and been in Australia ever since. I did spend a couple of years studying in Hong Kong for a couple of years during primary school. I went to a British school, and so that might have introduced a bit of a British twang into my accent. That's mixed in with an Aussie accent and a Chinese Cantonese accent. So that's where my heritage came from.
Excellent. You've got one devil of a mix there.
I do. I could turn on the Chinese accent at a whim, or the British accent at a whim, but I'm not going to do that now, though. Deviating from the show.
That's right. We just want Charles. And mind you, if Charles happens to be Chinese, if Charles happens to be British, that's okay. We can deal with that. And I notice you've got lots of characters behind you. Are they all part of Cubic?
Yeah, so this is just some of the things that we do. So on over to my right, some of the merchandise that we do that we supply to customers. So we're a B2B organization. We supply to places like government departments, colleges, universities, small businesses, large businesses, multinational, international businesses. We supply to around 2,900 organizations a year with custom branded merchandise. It's slightly off camera, but over to my left here, we have a range of accolades that we've achieved over the years as well. I've been in business for quite a bit of time now, so 15 plus years.
Yeah, that's good. People are actually providing you with accolades. That's a good thing. And I can tell you have a broad range there to cover what appears to me almost any situation.
Yeah, we've got a range of product that covers indeed any situation. In fact, last I checked, I think we had 900 categories of products. So literally every consumer product that you could think of, we could put a logo on, anything from a t-shirt through to a pen, a compendium, a stress ball, everything in between. It's really quite remarkable, and it's growing as well, simply because there's just so many new things that's being invented nowadays. Even in the age of AI, there are still a healthy range of physical products. In fact, at the risk of converting a bit, I feel that the world has a bit of AI fatigue. And the reason why I say that is the growth of LPs, for those who know what those are, big black discs that play music and you put a needle on them, and CDs and physical formats have gone very popular in the past couple of years. And same with phones with actual buttons. They've also increased in sales as well. So it's interesting, an age where AI and software is becoming more and more advanced. It seems like we're finding more and more solace in simply finding something to touch that's tactile and that you could feel. And clearly I'm in that type of industry.
Very good. And you mentioned that you've been in business for 15 years. You came out here when you were 2. So in the interim, there's probably a fair bit that's happened that we just skipped over there. So tell us about your family life, if indeed you have a family life, because that's another question that'll come up later about the business life balance.
Of course. We'll start from the very beginning. So when folks came here, they came with not a lot. They came here with a lot of intellectual ability. My dad was a lawyer. My mom was an English teacher. But in terms of just having financially, they didn't come over with a lot. And so they, like any migrant story, they started off, they built it from scratch. And my father especially tried to build a business here. Honest truth is he didn't do that well. He had to pack up his bags and head back to Hong Kong for a couple more years because he did really well as a lawyer in Hong Kong, but not so well locally here. And he was possibly the first original FIFO, fly in, fly out. So he'll be flying between here and Hong Kong. And so that was the backdrop I grew up in. In terms of the environment, I grew up like every other kid back in the 90s, which was a combination of pies, VB when I was old enough. But before that, Nirvana, Pearl Jam. And that transitioned into me going into high school here, going into university here, and subsequently doing a few jobs in the financial sector before I decided to embark on a adventure to start a business, knowing nothing about starting a business, but doing it anyway. There's a funny story here because I actually got my first customer before I actually had a business. I actually got my first customer before I actually got my first supplier. So what happened was I had an accident, a sporting accident. It was caused to be a rupture by right Achilles on my right ankle. And so I couldn't work. Westpac, my employer at the time, was kind enough to give me leave. And also for a brief period, I worked from home. But I had a long period of leave where I just sat there in my house. Now, I don't like watching TV. At that time was Ricky Lake and Oprah. I know those things that resonate with me, right? I don't play a lot of video games and streaming wasn't a thing there. So to I got bored after a week or two just sitting there because all my friends and family, they'll be at work. And so I was sitting there alone in my room and I was thinking, okay, I wasn't particularly good at my job. I did it okay, 50-50, good enough not to get fired, but certainly not good enough to be considered a superstar by any stretch of the imagination. But I am a curious person. And so on my table, there was a pen. I happened to be holding one, not the exact same pen. And then the pen had a brand and a logo on it. And it got me wondering, where did this pen come from? How did I get hold to it? Why does it have someone's logo on it? Obviously, someone was trying to market a product. And so I jumped on the internet and then I just dove into a rabbit hole of finding out what they now call it, the supply chain. And supply chain is a fancy term of talking about how different businesses and entities interlink one another to bring a consumer product, or in my case, a B2B product, into the hands of an everyday Aussie. And once I realized what the supply chain was, I figured, hey, let's see if I could try and sell this product. So this was before the Wolf of Wall Street movie made the term synonymous, which was sell me this pen. I literally started selling it and purely out of boredom. So I picked up the phone and I started calling up organizations that I found on the yellow pages or white pages. And I started calling them up and I basically said, hey, hi, I'm Charles. Do you want to buy some pens? And obviously, our first couple of calls, it was, no, I don't want to buy no pens. I don't want to buy any pens. It continues on, but I'm a resilient type of person. And I figured out, okay, after each phone call, at what point in time did I feel that the conversation switched from, hi, good morning, how are you, to I don't want to buy a pen. And so I slowly engineered what I said, how I said it, to a point where it was quite refined and where I had a lower chance of a person rejecting me and a higher chance for a slightly longer phone call. And then finally, I forgot what call number it was, call number 100 or it could be 200. I don't remember now. Someone said, yes, I want to buy some pens. And I thought, great, let me take the details. I took the details and then I sat there. I said, oh no, I have neither a company, nor do I have a system, nor do I have suppliers. I quickly called up my partner, now wife, and I said, hey, what do I do? And she's an accountant. And she told me, oh, you got to set up a business. Oh, you need an ABN. Oh, I said, ABN? Oh, sure. Okay. You got to set up for GST. So quickly got that set up, and I transacted our first customer. And that was 15 plus years ago now.
Well, and that's a great story of resilience and modification to make something fit. Let's find out a little bit about how this business has gone from there you were, frustrated in your bedroom, we'll say, and you don't watch TV, you're feeling terribly bored. What can I do? Inspiration, I make a call. What on earth kept you going for 200 calls or thereabouts before you got a yes? A number of people can't do that. What kept you going when you didn't even know what was coming out the other end?
So the question was 200 calls, what kept me going?
Yes.
For me personally, it was tinkering. I like to tinker with things. And so for those who are tinker-minded out there, or those who are simply curious, I think there's a lot that you could possibly achieve just using that mindset and nothing else. For those who are blessed with other skills and attributes, 100%, I am very happy for you. But for myself, it's the tinkering mindset, the curiosity. And so when I make a phone call, the first phone call, someone said no. Second phone call, someone said no. And then I engineer it. I reverse engineer it. Okay, at what point in time do they say they're not interested? At what point in time do I hear a change in voice where they go, oh, tell me more? And so with that piece of feedback and communication, that allows me to adjust my next message. And why did I continue on and not hang up? It was, I figured the next no is just one step closer to yes. Now, I heard that quote a couple of years ago. It certainly wasn't a quote that was on my mind at that point in time when you're thick in the action. But when you're thick in the action, a couple of things. Momentum kicks in. Tinkering also is a personality trait that I do. But also another concept that I want to throw in here was I began to treat it like a game. And as bad as it sounded, every person I spoke to, I treated it as though this is a video game. If I could convince you to do something, then I won. If I was unable to do so, better luck next time. Let's respawn. Let's try again. And so I find gamifying it helped. Chunking it into little parts helped as well. If you were to tell me, okay, today I'm going to wake up and I'm going to make 100 calls, for example, 12 calls per hour, it's a very hard mindset for you to wake up and look forward to it. But if I was to wake up each morning and go, okay, let's make just 5 phone calls first thing in the morning, and then afterwards, let's see if I have another set of time to make another 5, then you'll be surprised all of a sudden 8 hours in, it's 5 o'clock at the end of the day, you're about to finish off. And then you look back, you realize 5 plus 5 equals 10, 10 plus 5 equals to 15. And the aggregate number that you've done at the end of the day has become something quite significant. Now you multiply that over the course of 2 days, a week, 2 weeks, and all of a sudden you've got something that is over and beyond something that you felt you could have done if you were to simply go for the big goal. And so that really helps in order to overcome how do you maintain resilience, or how do you not give up at core number 10? How could you continue to core number 200? It's a combination of those elements of treating it like a game, breaking it down into small little parts, and also just for myself personally, being curious and engineering and tinkering things in order to make it work for me. And that was how I thought. That was the mentality. I didn't think, oh, I'm going to be making 100 calls and then I'm going to make 400 calls and I need to book this amount of sales. I think if I was to do that, I would have been demoralized pretty quickly and I would have tapped out. I don't think I'm going to manage it.
Yes, indeed, because that 200th call was only the 5th of a set. So it wasn't much at all, really, was it?
No, not at all. No.
That's an excellent explanation of it, Charles. I've been teaching people how to sell things for well over 30 years, and that's a really good way of looking at it. Gamified, I like that, and then break it down into really small pieces, and big goals aren't so scary anymore.
It's true, because once it becomes a game, it becomes an enjoyable process. No longer it is something that you don't look forward to doing. It's something that you do in order to achieve the next win. And the next win is not always, earning the next dollar. People, I think, mistake business as being an entity to earn money. Fundamentally, a business exists to contribute to society. It's a contribution. It is something that someone wants to utilize to make their lives easier, better, and then they're willing to part ways with money in order for them to achieve their objective. And so if you're able to do that and you could contribute to someone else's success, you got to make it of a good business, whether you're selling coffee or, in my case, selling merchandise to B2B companies.
Indeed. It's all about helping somebody else achieve whatever it is that they want and getting to understand who those people are. So further to that, for Charles, is it tea, coffee, or something else?
Tea, always tea.
Of course, with English and Chinese heritage, it's got to be tea, hasn't it?
Oh, it is. It is.
So is Charles an early bird, a night owl, or can you do a little bit of both?
I prefer to sleep in early. So I cap out at 11. I aim 10:15, but I think I'm with the general population. I think most people are sleeping around this particular hour, and I wake up anywhere between 6:30 and 7. I do like to be slightly ahead of the curve, simply because it allows me to regain focus. The mornings are serene and mornings need to be protected, and I try to engage early in the morning as much as I can. In the morning, invariably, I'll be either doing standing meditation or I'll be in a reflective type of state.
I think you've raised a very important point there of being a little bit ahead of the curve. And we've noticed so far in this conversation, you're very clear-minded about how you do things. And do you follow any particular practice to help with that clear-mindedness?
Switching off is critical. When I finish during the workday, 5:30 on the dot, I leave my laptop at work. I don't take it at home. There is simply no chance for me to engage with work. I do have my phone, obviously, and it is connected. So if need be, there is an emergency, I am able to address the emergency. But in terms of just your day-to-day type of work, I am physically removed. I have no physical keyboard that could engage my work into my phone. And so being able to split that boundary is quite important. Other aspects is nothing that the audience may not have heard already. Eating well, exercising well, getting enough sleep. I throw one more thing in, which is meditation. I do specifically standing meditation where I clear my mind. Every business owner or aspiring business owner or team member would have work thoughts come in their mind after hours. It's guaranteed. The meditation aspect helps because it allows me to step away from my body and observe myself thinking about a task. The thing about thinking about tasks after work is that in most instances, if not all instances, you can't act on those tasks. You got this brilliant marketing idea. You're not executing that idea at 6 o'clock at night. You're just not. And even if you do execute it at that time, it's not going to be executed in any meaningful way that it's going to be done well. And so that's my philosophy, if you like, for lack of a better word, is to entirely switch off and only engage during work hours. When the thoughts do come into my mind, observe them. And if they are really bloody great ideas, I'll write them down. And then next morning, first thing, I'll action them.
Excellent. Perfect way of doing it. So moving right along, what book are you currently reading and why can't you put it down?
There's two books that have meant a lot to me over the years. The first book is Courage, Ryan Holiday. It's on Stoic philosophy. And so Stoic philosophy is a way where they guides you, a set of principles, I think it's from the Romans, where they teach you to act on topics and items that are within your control and things that are outside of your control, let them be. So that's number one of that book. I refer back to it constantly. The second book that has meant a lot to me is on the other end of the spectrum, Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. And Chris Voss is FBI, ex-FBI. He's a hostage negotiator, negotiated everyone from terrorists through to a bank robber. And he instills this set of communication principles that enables him to have persuasive conversations and cut through with anyone from the terrorist to the bank robber. And this criteria of communication has been a revelation. And it's not merely a way of manipulating someone to do things your way. That's not the point. But it's the foundation of having genuine conversations and relationships. In his case, terrorists, but in people such as myself, it's with customers, it's with team members, being able to speak with them and allow them space to speak their mind, what's motivating them, what's concerning them, what's worrying about them, and using that as a springboard for your own action in order to address their issues. Fundamentally, if you address every one of their topics, their worries, their concerns, and their issues, then naturally they're going to gravitate towards an outcome that's going to work for you as well. So what's going to work for you is going to work for them. What's going to work for them is going to work for you. So those are the two books that have meant a lot to me.
And excellent books, excellent messages. We talked a lot about it. You've had a varied life to get where you are, and it appears that there's been a lot going on. So what's one word to describe your journey so far, Charles?
It would be easy resilience and adaptability. That comes a close second. So resilience being able to just take the punches and go with the flow, adaptability being able to make the appropriate changes. And so just reflecting back on every single stage of the process, over the course of 15 plus years, things have changed dramatically. Human behavior has changed. The preferred form of communication has changed. The amount of tools has changed. The amount of work tools and work software and apps has all changed. Being able to adapt with each and every change as they come across has been a big deal. Some of the major highlights that come into mind would be things such as COVID, obviously, was one, where there's a huge change in how people behaved. And then subsequently, after COVID, a huge change on how team members would like to engage work. Work from home was not a thing before COVID. And being able to adapt around the needs of team members around that one. Other big changes that have occurred to me would be the constant supply chain in my industry specifically. Having people like Amazon that promise same-day delivery has changed how customers perceive purchasing. They expect instant gratification. And so that's changed consumer perception expectations. Another one would be Temu, Alibaba, how people value specific products and also services as well, how they value it, how they not value it. It's also introduced these micro little concepts of the importance of branding and creating communities around branding. And so all of those have played a small part. As of 2 years ago, artificial intelligence, we simply cannot have a podcast without a mention of artificial intelligence. That has had a dramatic change. Interestingly, the artificial intelligence, just when I thought everything would die down, where the engagement with artificial intelligence was like a chatbot, similar to Google, I thought that things died down last year. And then this year, it seems it's off to the races again. New product, new innovation by the week, and in certain ways by the day, where there's new ways to do things, new options, new processes. And it's quite riveting to watch this industry grow. Is also quite scary in knowing that I'm going to need to adapt to these new ways of doing business. Otherwise, if you don't, you run the risk of becoming the next Kodak. No, Kodak was a leading company in the film industry for photographs. They really struggled towards the end because they refused to adopt digital photography.
Yes, how quickly things can change if you're not paying attention. So, yes, we applaud you, Charles, for being across all of these different things.
And trying to be across, a big difference.
Trying to be across them, that's important, yes. But just jumping back to who you service quickly, what's the major thing that you provide people with?
We sell merchandise, obviously, so that's pretty obvious. How I phrase it, though, is not as obvious. I see our company as a customer service company that happens to sell merchandise. Now, the reason why I say this is, here, for an analogy, for example, if you had the opportunity to buy a refrigerator from JB Hi-Fi, Good Guys, Harvey Norman, Bingley, take a pick of any business, would you prefer to buy a refrigerator from any one of these suppliers, or would you buy a refrigerator from a person who parked a van outside your home that sold it out of their van? And the person that sold it out of the van was half the price. Most, if not all, people would choose a big box retailer. And the reason being is because of reliability, customer service. You know what you're going to get. We're doing B2B products, it's not a product where it's a disposable consumer product, such as, oh, I purchased the wrong brand of chocolate. I guess I'll just throw away that bar of chocolate and buy the chocolate that I like. It's a bigger purchase, it's a bigger basket. And so a sense of reliability is required. So yeah, in a sense, yeah, we sell merchandise, but before we even reach that point, we're selling a service first. We're selling a customer service, a reliability. I read a couple of years ago as well that there's 3 key elements when it comes to selling a item or product. You could have quality, you could have price, you could have speed. You could have 2 of the 3, but you can't have 3 of the 3. For those inferior companies, obviously, you could supply one of them and not have the other 2. But generally, for most people, you could have quality, you could have price, or you could have speed, but you can't have all of them. Now, the same applies to our business. We have 2 of the 3, but my gosh, do we try bloody hard in order to do all 3? And I think that resonates with our customers when they want to buy T-shirts for their team, perhaps sportswear for their sporting team, or perhaps merchandise to promote a cause, promote a message, promote a brand name, knowing that they're getting good price, high quality product, but at the same time, knowing that we're extending ourselves to offer them speed at the same time. We don't always get there, but most of the time we do get there. And that combination culminates itself as being customer service. And it culminates ourselves as being able to supply products to an organization that will find it meaningful to purchase from us.
There you go. Now, there's probably more people getting into the sort of industry that you're in, where you're supporting people in promoting their branding, essentially. And how would you like to see your industry develop? So I guess I'm asking you, what legacy do you want to leave, Charles?
One of the key things is I've always been mindful that our industry is not an industry that is kind to the environment. We supply merchandise, a physical products, and we supply them in bulk quantities to end users. So one of the key things that I've always emphasized to our team and also to customers is the need to purchase a high quality product. Yes, they cost more, but if they're going to have a longer usable life, then it's going to be better for your brand and better for the environment as well. Being able to be carbon neutral is also a big piece as well, in order just to ensure that the legacy that we pass on is a cleaner world, if you like, and me taking the necessary steps to ensuring that the product that we sell is as friendly to the environment as possible. Other than that, I feel that a business that's in the business of doing good for its customers and its suppliers is always going to be one that's going to be ethical and hopefully appreciated by customers. Small examples, such as maybe a customer overpaid an invoice. Tell them about it, refund back the difference, please. There's no point in keeping the difference for yourself. Things such as a tax bill, for example. If you have a tax bill, pay the tax bill. Don't look for the gray area to avoid paying that tax bill. And being a good corporate citizen, both for ourselves, both to our suppliers as well. If a supplier is offering a product for ourselves to provide to a customer at X amount of dollars and it's a fair price, don't push them too hard. If you push them too hard, inevitably someone's going to suffer. It's either a worker that's going to be underpaid or perhaps a worker that's going to have a more dangerous condition. And so I feel that if more businesses adopt this attitude of being sensible, now don't get me wrong, I'm as capitalist as any other company. I'm all about maximizing profit. I give myself constraints and boundaries, which is do it in a way that's ethical, sensible, fair to both your suppliers and your customers. And I feel that if more companies did that, I feel that holistically, it might be achieving a really good balance between the capitalist needs of a society, of a business to maximize the revenue, yet also the environmental and social needs that world clearly needs and craves.
What advice would you give to somebody starting out in this domain?
Starting out in this domain or any other industry, there's been no better time. It's just brilliant. The amount of tools, I've spoken to this to other people as well, which is the tools that you have available at your fingertips right now that are either free or close to being free gives you the exact same power or firepower as a larger company. And so what in the past a company may have a team of graphic designers in order to create visual graphics, you can now do that within 5 to 10 seconds for free. And there's a range of other products and services that are here to help businesses, from advice from podcasts like yours, Clive, through to any given pick of book, YouTube channel, Instagram, TikTok channel, where there's just resources to support both the person mentally and physically, give them strategic direction, give them analysis and breakdowns on niches or underserviced niches in any pocket of the economy, through tools and software apps that allow you to scale. And all of that can be done at the price of an internet connection, the price of a small power bill, a laptop or a phone. And so for any starting entrepreneur, I would encourage them to read a lot, to ask the right questions, to seek the answers from any of these modern medium channels, pick a target, pick a niche, and run with it, because it's so exciting. You are now given the tools that was only available to a multi-million, if not billion-dollar company back 10, 15 years ago. And now those tools are at your fingertips. Be curious and constantly find information and just absorb it, disseminate it, and execute. I want to focus a bit more on execution. I think is one thing that it's not spoken nearly enough now. There's a lot of advice about strategy, strategic direction, niches, etc. I feel that there's not enough commentary that's made on one simple thing, which is take one step, take that one small step at a time. If you have an idea, post it out to the world on an Instagram feed, on a LinkedIn, take a pic on any given choice, speak to a friend about it, sell it to a friend perhaps. Take that one small step and then take a second step. But do take the time to take that one small step. That would be my advice.
And that is absolutely excellent advice, Charles, and probably a good spot for us to leave it. But before we go, where can our listeners and viewers find Charles?
I'm everywhere on the internet. So simply search my name, Charles Liu, or Cubic Promote. You're going to find us. Specifically, I'm on LinkedIn. So hit me up on LinkedIn, Charles Liu, Cubic Promote. On Instagram, once again, search for Cubic Promote. That's the best way to find myself. On YouTube, we have 2 channels on YouTube as well, Cubic Promote. Obviously, our website has links and contact details to myself as well, cubicpromote.com.au. We're also on TikTok as well. And also for those who are inclined, we're also on Pinterest as well. Once again, search term is Cubic Promote.
There you go. That's cubicpromote.com.au. And if you're looking for Charles specifically, it's Charles Liu, and Liu is spelled Liu.
Perfect, Clive.
Thank you, Charles. That's great advice for someone to take advantage of. To our listeners and viewers, thanks for joining us on the Business Owners Podcast, and be sure to join us for our next episode. And of course, check out the back catalogue, because each one, just like Charles, has gems of wisdom inside it. Thank you, Charles.
Yeah, thank you, Clive.
Thanks for listening to the Business Owners Podcast. We encourage you to connect with us on social media and join our community of business owners at businessbusinessbusiness.com.au.